Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Nicole. I am a brand new motorcycle rider and I'm here to share my journey of learning to ride. So if you are a motorcycle enthusiast or if you're new to riding, hit that subscribe button and follow along as I share my journey. I never thought I'd be a person who would ride a motorcycle. I thought they were dangerous. I had no desire to want to ride a motorcycle. However, my boyfriend has a beautiful Ducati Multistrada V4 and has put me into this MotoGP racing, all the things motorcycle journey with him. I was super comfortable just being a back seat, backpack, passenger princess, but I don't know how I got conned into taking a motorcycle class, but I did. I took the MSF course through Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson and I got my motorcycle license. If you're new to riding, I highly recommend taking that MSF course. It was a lot of information packed into 4 days of learning, but it was by far the most helpful class that I have taken. Like I said, I had zero experience with motorcycling. I had never even driven a manual car before, let alone knew any controls to a motorcycle. So definitely helped taking the class, getting that information, and building up my knowledge prior to even riding a motorcycle. Now, the class was not easy. My first 2 days in the classroom were great, but it was like information overload. I did not know how much goes into riding a motorcycle. And I had like a newfound appreciation for how well my boyfriend can ride a motorcycle because I had no idea the amount of cognitive functioning goes into riding a motorcycle. And we spent 2 days in the classroom and then 2 days, well, not even a day and a half learning to ride before we had to take our test. And let me tell you, after day one, I was ready to quit. I was defeated that first day, having never ridden a motorcycle to having to test within 24 hours was super stressful and nerve-wracking for me, and I did not have the confidence that I thought I would need to pass that class. The classroom days were great. I felt like I was able to retain the information, but then applying that to actually riding a motorcycle was completely different. I felt like I was starting to get the hang of like a drill and then we'd move on to the next thing and I didn't have time to practice. So I was feeling very overwhelmed. So after coming home and talking to Chris and basically telling him that I am not going back to this class tomorrow, I don't care that I paid for it, there's no way I'll pass that test because I haven't had enough practice. And I decided I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna finish what I started. Day two was much better. And I think part of why day one was so horrible was because it was 97 degrees. We didn't really have a lunch break. So I was hot, I was hangry, I was frustrated. I was just done. And I went back day two. We had a couple hours to practice before we had to do our test, our road test. And it was much better. Like I felt more confident. I felt like I knew the controls better. I felt like I had a handle on the friction zone a little bit more. So I went in a little bit more confident than I did day one, and I passed. And I was shocked. I did not think I was gonna pass, but I passed and I did really well on my road test. And as soon as I finished my road test, I stalled my bike. So I was like, that doesn't count, right? And they're like, no. But it was very frustrating, it was very hard. So if you're feeling defeated, that is perfectly normal. And now I had to go to the DMV to take my written test to get my license. And I failed the first time. And let me tell you, I was so mad that I failed because the amount of time that I had to wait on that DMV line was insane. So I had to go back the next day, wait in line again, and luckily I passed the second time. But the written test for the DMV is definitely a lot different than the MSF course. So I highly recommend studying the DMV book before you go to the DMV to get your license because the questions are a lot different. So I passed this class and I had my license now, passed the DMV test, And a couple months went by. I told Chris there was no way I'm ever buying a motorcycle. Like, I took this class just to please him, to do it for him, and there was no way I was going to buy a motorcycle and go on the road because I was still really scared. Like, I was comfortable, like barely comfortable, riding in a parking lot without any cars. And I couldn't imagine getting out on the road. So fast forward a couple months and we ended up buying a Yamaha MT-03, which is a great beginner bike. It's a 300cc, so it's super slow. I cannot keep up with Chris and his Ducati, but it is a great beginner bike and it's been really easy to learn on. I highly, highly, highly suggest getting a bike that is good for a beginner. Do your research and know what bike fits you. The Yamaha MT-03 is a perfect size for me because I can still put my feet on the floor, which I was a little nervous about because I am 5'3", so I'm kind of short. The bike fits me well. It's not too fast, it's not too high. I like the way I lean on it. It's not too far forward. So it was the perfect starter bike for me. I do think that I'm gonna eventually outgrow it, but as a beginner, it's been really easy to learn on. After we spent a lot of time in the parking lot working on those slow maneuvering, practicing those right and left hand turns from a stop, I decided to take it to my neighborhood roads, which I consider real roads, but apparently they are not real roads according to like every motorcycle person that I hang out with. But that was huge for me, taking it to where cars are driving through my neighborhood. I have a particularly hilly neighborhood, so being able to stop at stop signs and go from a hill start was very challenging. So I spent a lot of time just going through my neighborhood, and I was fortunate to have Chris with me. We hooked up our cardos. He was behind me so he can tell me like what I did wrong, what I did great, how to fix those things. So it was really helpful to have someone with me that was kind of coaching me as I was riding. It definitely helped me feel a little bit safer, more comfortable, and it was much easier to learn what I was doing wrong and how to fix it. Fast forward a couple weeks and we ventured out to the real roads, and I was so proud of myself. I was scared. I was confident but still scared. Like, it was nerve-wracking trying to go on the roads for the first time with a bunch of cars. And mind you, we only rode on like back roads, country roads. There weren't a whole lot of cars that I had to interact with when I was riding. And today was my first time actually merging onto like a 3-lane road. So it was really exciting. I have yet to ride alone. I've always ridden either with Chris or my brother Keith. And it's been nice having that extra support and that safety net with me. I eventually want to venture out on my own and see how I do. I'm hoping to maybe venture out within the next week or so on some of the roads that we've practiced on already by myself this week. And stay tuned and I'll update you on how that goes. I'm really excited to share my journey with you, so follow along and I'll be back next week.